Hello everyone and welcome back to Painting with Martin. Today we're taking a look at a game called Inferno. Inferno is set in the dark medieval days. Actually not really dark, but it's set in medieval days in medieval day Florence, and it's published by Grand Gamers Guild. And I bought this game in Essen Spiel last year, and also bought the miniature pack. So this one came as, I believe, a promo for the miniature pack, and it shows Dante Alighieri going down into the steps of hell. And I think it is Dante, and I'm going to paint him today. I'll show you how to paint him. Now, also I have got some degree of COVID or flu, so I'm going to be coughing a little bit, so I apologize for that. I'm going to keep it down to minimum as much as I can. Now, there are also a number of other miniatures. I'm going to put this one on my painting handle here so you can see it. And it's going to be a fairly simple process, and that means I'm going to be painting him red, mostly because that was the color he was using in most books and illustration at the time, because there's no illustration of Dante in the rulebook or in the game for that matter as well, as far as I know. If I did miss this, please let me know in the comments, and we can fix this in a correction in the description box. So let's get to it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to color his face and hands, and that's the way it is with only that color. And we are going to use a color called Darkoath Flesh from Citadel. It's a contrast color. Let's give it a good shake before we start, and let's get going for it. And we apply it neat as always, as we do with all contrast paints. And with this one, it just gives it a very nice foundation that we can work on later on with some extra colors when we do the highlights. And then, of course, we have the hands here. And hopefully you can see this, and the angle is not too bad as well for you who are watching. And as always, please hit that subscribe button, like button, and please share this video if you like it as well. Any help really helps, and thank you so much for all of those who have already subscribed to my channel. It means the world to me because it helps the channel grow and gain visibility on YouTube. And as such, it's not that complicated to paint these ones. And should you touch the robes, it's not really much of a problem. You're going to paint it over with some red as well. Alright, so almost done here. Let's turn it around here. This is a paint holder from Red Grass Games. I recommend it. And for those of you who don't have one, please get one. I'll try and link one to their site in the description box below. Now, with this one done, we're going to paint the staff, the handle of the torch, and with this one we are going to use a color called, no, not that one. Where was it? I had it here somewhere. Yes, there we go. Contrast Wyldwood. Again, give it a nice good shake. Make sure all those pigments are mixed. And of course the paint pot doesn't want to stay open, so you're going to have to put it on as such. Trying not to put it on the skin color if you can, as well as on the robe. And then we have the staff. Trying not to get it on any white parts, and I should also say that I did prime this one in Vallejo White, just to have a good foundation for contrast colors, and before I put on the real colors like these ones. Now, Inferno, the board game, is set in the age of Florence. I believe it's 15th century. I could be mistaken. I haven't played the game yet. Friends of mine have played it. They really enjoyed it. And you are both playing in Florence as well as guiding your character down through the different levels of hell. And the game is quite fairly true to Dante's Inferno, the novel that he published a long time ago. And you also use several passages from the book as in the rule book as well. So this one is done. Now, with this one is done, we're going to go over to the main part of the figure, and we're going to paint him red. And we're going to paint him red with, you can either use Blood Angels red, or you can use this one as I chosen, Contrast Baal Red from Citadel. Again, give it a good shake as always, and apply it. Try not to touch the, so I'm turning it upside down like this, so I don't want any colour on the base of the miniature. As you can see here, it's a very vibrant colour, and it really brings the miniature to life. Here I'm taking great care not to touch any straps that he has with his bag. I'm going to see him make sure that it's only one strap over there. It's on following his right to left. And if you do accidentally touch it, you can always touch it up later on with some corrections. Here I want to be extra careful not to, as I said here, the paint was not entirely dry, so I got some dark, there was some wood colour into it. It's not a problem. Here I'm trying not to touch the bag strap. As well as the bag here as well, of course. And there I missed a part. The other thing with this red is that when you have it coloured or primed white, is that you can always see if this made a mistake where you didn't cover the miniature at all. Here I'm taking really good extra care not to cover any of the materials that is on the base, as well as his shoes, or should I say boots as well. And having said that, with this set, it's a fairly easy model to paint, despite all the traps you could possibly fall into here. But with a little bit of stability on your hands, you'll be able to get a really good result. Here I'm going over this area that is almost dried again, and here we're going over the upper part. It might be a little bit trickier than the previous parts. I'm using a size 3 Winsor & Newton Cotman brush, synthetic, for this one, but if you feel you want more stability, you can change to a size 2, or possibly even a size 1 if you want really to go into those details. Almost done here. Hopefully it won't fall. And we've got a little bit here on the side as well. That should be part of the red robe. This is how it's going to look like when it's pretty much done. Few more tiny details as such. Oh yeah, forgot this one here. Alright, now before we go into the next one, I want to say that the hat also should be part red, but there are some white straps on the hat that you really want to not cover. So it's very dominant red here. I'm not really sure what he was thinking when he put himself into this garment. So these ones here, you can actually leave white if you want to, or you can cover them up with a bit of pure white later on when the paint is dried. But let's turn our attention to the boots. For the boots, you could use another color for Citadel, for what do you call it, contrast color. But we are going to use for the boots XV88, which is a base color from Citadel. Give it a good shake and just apply it. Mornfung brown would also be more than acceptable for this. And we have the boot over here as well. And don't forget the underside of it as well. It's not very necessary to do that, but we'll give it a nice trick. Here I'm going to switch to a tinier brush just to make sure I get the nice details. Of the boots. And that's it. Now, I'm going to wait a little bit more until painting the bag and the straps. So what I'm going to start with here is I'm going to paint the flames. And for the flames, we are going to start off with some pure yellow. And for this case, I have some flashed Gitz Yellow that I put out in one of these little Army War Paints bottle. It says flashed Gitz Yellow here, but it's actually a Citadel paint. So in case you're wondering about what it is. And hopefully I have some here left. Don't need much. Yeah, I need some. Yeah, and I guess I need to refill that one later on when this video is done. But we actually touch up the entire flames, and I have an entire video on how to paint flames on my channel. So if you want to go over it and really want to touch it over like with some details, you can do so. So as such, it looks a bit too bright. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to put in some orange, wherever I had my orange. And this is actually a Vallejo color called Orange Fire. I don't dilute it here, but I'm going to wet blend it in a bit. So here, dabbing it on as such here. And here I'm going to use a damp brush to simply move the colours together and blend them in. And as a final touch, I'm also going to put some red in, which I'm using with some Mephiston Red from Citadel for those red details of the flames. You can potentially also put in some white here on these ones if you want to. And again here, I'm going to use a damp brush to move them together so the red is not too dominant. Something like this. If you feel you want to have a little bit more yellow, you can do so at your discretion. But let's turn our attention to the bag, which is what's next. And the bag will be in Citadel's Mournfang Brown, which is a base colour. You could potentially use Contrast Wyldwood for this one as well, but I want a different colour for the bag. Don't forget the underside, and the underside as well. Some Thondia brown would also work here for this one. And for the strap, which can be a little bit tricky to get to, but with a bit of practice, you'll get the hang of it. Using the tip of the brush in a streaking manner as such. Making sure you cover any parts that are white. And with that said, we are almost done with this miniature, except for the base. So what we're going to do next is that we're going to put there's some white details on the torch, which is going to be some Leadbelcher, the Citadel Leadbelcher. Any other kind of metal color would be fairly fairly good as well. As such. And I'm turning around the miniature here using the handle, which is really, really nice. Really comes to its full form instead of having to hold the miniature down. Outstanding. Oops, sorry about that. A little bit of bump. I have tall legs, so being 193 centimeters tall doesn't really help when it comes to small spaces. So you can still see there's some white details. We're going to cover them over when the metal color is dried. So, but let's go over some of the details in his face, which is now. Actually, no. Let's cover some of the bases, some of the parts of the bases with some white. This is some pure white, Vallejo, or any color of your choice. Making sure that there are no mistakes left under the base, and I'll show you why we do this now as well. So leave it fully to dry. Here and here. Make sure that it's fully dried, otherwise it would be pink and not really applicable. Now, let's turn our attention to the rats on the base. There are some rats on the base here. There are rats everywhere, apparently. So for the rats, I'm going to paint them with some Mechanicus Standard Grey, standard regular base paint from Citadel. You can see them here on the back side. There's a really nice, beautiful details on the miniature. I have to really commend the designer on this game, for making a beautiful miniatures and as part of the standees. This also, I have to mention, these miniatures are sold separately from the base game. They're not part of the main game. In the case you're using standees and for all miniatures. So, since I'm a miniature painter, it was one of the main games that I looked forward to last year. Fortunately, I haven't had time to play it, but that's the way it is. Too many games, too little time. As such, these are quite nice. And don't forget the tails here on the side here as well. So, with this one done, we're going to go back to our white, and we're actually going to paint the white details of his kind of like hat. And here it's very important to be extra careful so you don't paint in on any of the red. As such. And we can still see there's a little bit of red there missing from the top of his cap, which we're going to correct in a minute when the white is dried. We can now go over to the part of the torch, where we still have some white, and colour this one, as well as touch over any part of the torch where it's too dominant with either orange or red. As such. Now we can also take the some time and paint his face, and either we're going to paint some Cadian flesh tone, or actually I'm going to suggest to use some Kislev Flesh, which is, in the most paintings he was fairly pale from lack of sun in the Pisan sun. I don't really know why that was the case. He should have had more of an olive skin tone colour. As such, and we can also do the fingers, leaving some of the contrast paint in the recesses as shadows. And now you're probably wondering, what do I do with the well, let's first fix the headgear before we go into the base as well. The base is very simple. Let's put on some for the headgear, we're putting on some original red, some Baal Red, or Baal Red, or whatever you want to call it. As such, so make sure it is all covered. There's also some white spots on, and now it's a good opportunity to actually go over and cover those spots before the miniature is mostly done. For the base paint, for the base, we are going to cover the entire base, and I hope these ones are fairly dry, and yeah, appear to be, with some Nuln Oil to accentuate the stones and also the skull and bones here on the side. And Nuln Oil is actually, no, let's see here where Nuln Oil is. Ah, there we go. Some Nuln Oil from Citadel. And give it a good shake. And they are really, really going to bring out all the nice details from the miniature. And that's why we cleaned up the miniature and the base before, making sure there are no spots of from the miniature before. You can also cover the rats if you want them a little bit darker. And you want this one to pool in the recesses, but not on the surface areas. Making sure you get it behind him as well. And when it dries, you can really see the cobblestones and the skulls as well. If you want to, you can paint the skulls in, say, a colour called ivory or chapeau bone to make them stand out a little bit more. But if you, just like me, you're a little bit lazy and you want to get the miniature done, it's mostly done. This is how it looks like when it's done, but if you, like me, you want a little bit more details on the miniature, you can actually go over and paint the staff using some XV88 that we used previously from Citadel, to use the bands on the staff as such here, taking care to leave some of the shadows in between, turning them around the miniature. And you can also use that for some of the handles here on the lower end of the torch as well as the top if you missed it here. Now, you can also use this one to give some highlights to the bag. And there's supposed to be a strap here in metal that you can use some Leadbelcher or some Runefang steel or silver on top of the bag. Otherwise, Dante Alighieri, which I think it is, from Grand Gamers Guild's Inferno. Also, they will have this one as Essen Spiel, so please, if you're going, check out their game over there. So maybe you'll have a chance to play it, in addition to all of their other beautiful games, such as Endeavour and also Kokeshi, which is on the hot list for Board Game Geek. So this is Dante from Inferno. Hope you liked this small painting miniature video, and I'll see you next time in the video. Thank you very much for watching.